The Cincinnati Bengals travel to Detroit to face the Lions on Sunday. Detroit is currently installed as a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ, 47 the total in this game. Both these teams sit at 4-2, leading their respective divisions. I think these teams are very similar. Good teams, but a little bit unreliable. Don't know exactly what you're going to get from these teams on a week-to-week basis. You look at Cincinnati's last 3 games. 3 weeks ago, they lost to the Cleveland Browns, were totally shut down on offense. The following week, they beat the New England Patriots, even though they struggled on offense in that game also, only totaling 13 points. And then last week, the Bengals picked up a road win in Buffalo, but it took them overtime. They had to go to overtime against the Bills, only won that game by 3, failed to cover. They were 7-point favorites, and they were a popular public bet. Many people thinking Cincinnati was going to cover in that spot because the Bills were starting Thad Lewis at quarterback, who had been on the practice squad the week prior. So a lot of people, I think, were unimpressed by Cincinnati's performance last week. And maybe that's why Detroit has been a popular public bet this week. This line opened right around pick all over Las Vegas a few days ago. But again, the Lions have been a popular public bet. Detroit now sits as a 3-point favorite at most Vegas sports books. Again, this line is 1 on BETDAQ. Detroit a 1-point favorite. But you know, the Lions, they're not too reliable either. I know they played well last week, beating the Cleveland Browns by 14 on the road, but they played poorly in the first half of that game, falling behind 17-7. And just 2 weeks ago, they totaled only 9 points against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are not known for defense. So Detroit, an unusual team as well. Detroit is known for its offense. The Lions finished 3rd in the NFL in yards per game last year. They're top 10 in yards per game again this year. But for whatever reason, they sort of specialize in empty yardage. Last season, they were not in the top half of the league in points per game, despite finishing 3rd, as we said, in yards per game. They're doing a little bit better in the points per game category this year, but again, only 9 points 2 weeks ago against Green Bay, only 7 points in the first half last week against Cleveland. And in this game, facing the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Bengals rank in the top 10 in the league in every major statistical category on defense. So you never know. The Cincinnati defense might be able to really have some success against the Detroit offense in this game, especially since Calvin Johnson, the Lions' best wide receiver and probably the best wide receiver in the entire NFL, he is still slowed by that knee injury. Now the Lions, they might have some success on defense themselves because the Bengals have underperformed on offense for a couple of years now. They should be better than they are on the offensive side of the ball. And it seems like we say that every week here when we do videos for these Bengals games. You look at some of the talent they have. A top 5 wide receiver in A.J. Green. 2 legitimate weapons at the tight end position in Jermaine Gresham and the rookie Tyler Eifert. 2 good running backs in Benjarvis Green-Ellis, Giovanni Bernard. The pieces seem to be there. Is it Andy Dalton's fault, the young quarterback? Is it Jay Gruden's fault, the offensive coordinator? I mean, we need to blame somebody here because once again the Bengals find themselves in the bottom half of the NFL in yards per game and points per game, and there's just too much talent, it seems like, at the skill positions for them not to be better on offense, but they are what they are. Anybody waiting for them to break out and explode on offense, you might be waiting a long time because what we've seen over the last couple of years, it's been consistent. Cincinnati's just not a very good offense, very mediocre. And Detroit is an average defense. But again, I expect Detroit to have some success in this game because a lot of defenses seem to have success against the Bengals. That is why my favorite bet here is the under. The total is 47. And I believe both of these offenses not quite as good as their reputations would suggest. The Bengals have an excellent defense. Detroit is average on defense, but all things considered, I think under 47, a good-looking bet here. The game itself feels like somewhat of a coin flip to me. I guess I do have a slight lean towards the Cincinnati Bengals, especially if you were able to get a nice price on them on the money line. I think that might be a decent idea. But again here, my favorite bet is under 47, and I guess I have a slight Cincinnati lean.